go. My people. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is a very good morning. Welcome to the Road to a Million show. I'm Daron C. Campbell, your real estate mentor, the hardest working man in real estate. Another show today. We got a big show today. The Road to a Million show is found on roadtoamillionshow.com. We're also found on rolloutshow.com. We're in Rollout Show Studios, courtesy of Speedy and Friends. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, your real estate mentor. And our goal on this show, if you don't know, if this is your first time checking in, our goal on this show is to help enhance the three B's: your brain, your body, and your bank account. So what we'll find ourselves talking about are things that are methods, our systems, our plans, things that will help enhance your life in general through the three B's, which I think are the three departments you need to have in check in order to have a fulfilled life. Does that make any sense? I don't know how this sort of evolved, and I became this person who feels like he needs to show the world, teach the world, but I think it's important. So many things happen in life that we find ourselves being distracted and not taking care of all the things that matter. And all the things matter: your brain, your body, and your bank account. Those are the kind of the departments I feel like if you got all those in check, and you got all those managed properly, then you got your best opportunity to live your best life. And that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to live our best life. And so if I can give you this much wisdom, if I can give you one little pearl of wisdom that you can incorporate into your life to enhance your brain, your body, your bank account, then I feel like I've done my job. I've decided I need to be the people's champion. I need to be the person that kind of maybe sheds a little light on something that maybe school didn't, or maybe your mama and your daddy didn't know to tell you this. Maybe your discussions at the dinner table were not about how to grow, how to become financially free, how to become, how to eat right, how to live right, how to grow, how to plan, how to save, how to live your best life. A lot of us are just out there just living day to day, kind of struggling through it all because we're not in balance. We're not in balance. Think about this. If you got a lot of money in your pocket or a lot of money in your bank account, but your health is terrible. Oh man, I had a relative just had a stroke yesterday, and I believe it's the cumulative effect of bad eating, years and years and years of bad eating, and boom, there's consequences to be paid. So if you got all the money in the world, but your health is terrible, you're not living your best life. Now, are you? Now, what if you're in physical shape and you look like a god or a goddess, but you got no money? You got no money in the bank. You're a financial mess. You're not living your best life. And what if you never feed your brain? You never grow from a mental standpoint, from an intelligence standpoint. What if you're not constantly growing from that standpoint? You're not living your best life. So we work on this show, Road to a Million, we work on your brain, your body, and your bank account. So when you hear me rant, it's going to be about those topics. It's going to be about one of those things that could help you enhance yourself. And maybe every show we give you a little bit about each of those topics, but we dive into one each time, at least one each time. So if you like what you hear, tell somebody else. If you like what you hear, share the information about the show. It's at roadtoamillionshow.com. That's roadtoamillionshow.com. If you want to call, if you want to chat with me, if you want to disagree with me, you want to argue with me, you want to agree with me, feel free to call. I'm at 747-888-3082. 747-888-3082. I'm Daron Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. I am your real estate mentor, but I also have declared myself the people's champion. It's time for regular people to know how to get ahead in life, and I feel like that's part of my mission, to help you get ahead in life, because there's a lot of folks getting ahead while there's a lot of folks falling behind. And if you're not moving forward, the world is moving forward, so you're essentially moving backwards. So listen, let's catch up. It's time, maybe I could show you behind the curtain, and you can see what some folks that are doing it big are doing. Maybe some folks that are doing way, way, way better than average. What are they doing? How are they getting ahead? Isn't it time you got included? Isn't it time? Isn't it your turn? Haven't you been struggling and fighting and scrapping for a living too long? Well, let's talk about, on this show, let's talk about some of those secrets that other folks know that maybe you didn't get included in them. So maybe, we all go to school and they make everybody go to school, but school doesn't teach you about life. School doesn't teach you about how to grow, how to succeed. School doesn't teach you how to really survive in the world. I mean, you might have gotten an A in trigonometry, but what the hell is that doing for your life? The fact is, they should have taught you how to balance a checkbook. They should have taught you how to negotiate an interest rate with your credit card company. They should have taught you how to save money. They should have taught you about compounding interest. That's a simple one. Did anybody learn compounding interest in school? All that math you took, and nobody even mentioned the term compounding interest, did they? Compounding interest might be one of the most powerful invisible forces in the universe. Do you know what compounding interest is? Are you earning any compounding interest anywhere? Think about it. Okay, I'm going to give you another one. Passive income. Did anybody mention passive income to you in school? Let's see, while you were learning those logarithms and while you were doing those postulates and theorems in geometry, I absolutely hated postulates and theorems. Matter of fact, I had a silent rebellion. I refused to do any postulates and theorems in geometry. I didn't even do one. I was a straight A student pretty much. And I found a way to still get an A while quietly refusing to do any postulates and theorems. So I had to get everything else perfectly in order to maintain that A in geometry. It was geometry, right? My Dorsey Don classmates are listening in, and some of them were in that class with me. Mr. Beals and those geometry problems, I just wasn't going to do them. I didn't do a single postulate, a single theorem. And guess what? I survived okay, didn't I? He should have been teaching me about compounding interest instead of postulates and theorems and the Pythagorean theorem. What the heck is that? Marlon, look at what the Pythagorean theory is, whatever. I don't even know how to say it anymore. But the fact is, they should have been teaching me about interest rates. They should have been teaching me how to balance a checkbook. They should have been teaching me how to get compounding interest in my bank account. They should have been teaching me about passive income. They should have been teaching me about real estate investing. They should have been teaching me about assets and liabilities. They didn't teach me any of that. So I had that 4.0 GPA, and it didn't put $1 in my pocket. Didn't even teach me how to save $1. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. The education system is busted. It's broken. We need to teach people how to make it in this world. And I'm the people's champion. I just decided. I am the people's champion. I am going to be Black Moses. I'm the guy that's going to take you out of financial slavery and into the financial promised land. How about that? What do you think? You guys like it? Let's get some t-shirts. All right. Anyway, so see, I really am a spiritual gangster. Just call me Black Moses. I'm going to lead you out of financial slavery, and we're going to go to the financial promised land where all the milk and honey. Can we just not have the milk and honey part? I'd rather have some Jack Daniels or some gin and tonic. How about that? Skip the milk and honey. But anyway, the point is the financial promised land. That's where you got to go. So I'm going to give you some stuff. I'm going to give you some ideas. I'm going to give you some concepts that might help you get there. Now, a couple of days ago, I introduced the pillars, kind of like the pillars that you need to begin working on that'll kind of start your journey. Now, this is the Road to a Million show, so think of it as a journey. You don't snap your fingers and become financially free. You can't snap your fingers and become wealthy overnight. It's a process. That's why I call this show The Road to a Million, because you got to get on that road in order to get to a destination. You got to start somewhere. So I suggest you start right where you are today, and you start right now. Today, now. How about that? And because there's no time like the present. And guess what? Time flies, ladies and gentlemen. Time is absolutely flying. And we wake up one day and you go, well, how did I get to be 40 years old? Or how did I get to be 60 years old? That time is going to go. So if you do something practical, you do something intelligent with your time, Then you wake up one day and you go, hey, I'm feeling good about life. I got my credit is all together. I got some passive income coming in. I got some compounding interest working for me. And I can breathe. I can relax. I can take a vacation. Come on, let's help you get there. The struggling and strife stuff is really on my nerves. I am tired of so many of us being in financial ruins. Do you know how many people have bad credit out there? We talked about credit a couple days ago. We're going to talk about credit again real soon. Matter of fact, we're going to touch on credit today, but I'm going to bring some credit experts in here. I just decided, Marlon and I were planning for the show today a little while ago. I'm going to tell you my Starbucks story in a minute too. But we were planning for the show, and we were sitting there thinking, there's so many people out there who have found themselves or gotten themselves in a difficult financial hole. And it's time to get everybody out of these financial holes. I mean, the excuse for bad credit there is none. There is no excuse for bad credit. And we need to fix your credit if it's not good. But I'm going to show you some ways to fix your credit. And to not own some real estate. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. We got to work towards ownership. This renting and paying somebody else's mortgage stuff is not the way to go. It's time to graduate. Don't you feel like graduating? Isn't it time you graduated? Isn't it time you started participating in the prosperity that this country is built on? How is it that some people can show up in this country, born somewhere else, don't even speak the language, and 5 years later, they got 5 pieces of property and $1 million in the bank, and you still got 82 cents? Come on, how does that work? It's time we flip that around. It's time you figured out, and I'm going to show you. It's time you figured out how to participate. Isn't it baffling? Yeah, I can't tell you how many people I know. I know, man, oh man, I might know 100 people who came to this country as an adult, not speaking the language, some with not a dollar to their name, and now are moguls. And now 5 years, 7 years, 10 years later are wealthy. How does that work? What school did they go to that you didn't get included in? While you were learning the Pythagorean theorem, they were learning how to own some real estate. While you were studying for trigonometry test or learning how Columbus you didn't learn how he didn't discover America. Somebody was trying to tell you he discovered America to distract you while the money was being made over there. Oh my goodness. Somebody was out making $1 million while some teacher was trying to convince you that Christopher Columbus discovered America. Now, if that's not getting buffaloed, I don't know what is, okay? That's a load of crap, okay? Is the system broken or what? You're sending your kids off to school. Somebody's in there telling them Christopher Columbus discovered America. Somebody's telling them you need to learn how to draw a triangle and use a protractor and a 45-degree angle, and they're giving your kid a D on the damn test, and somebody else is teaching their kids what compounding interest is. Somebody else is teaching their kids what passive income is all about. Somebody else is teaching their kids how valuable a 750 FICO score is. Did anybody ever mention the term FICO score? They mentioned Pythagorean theorem. Why didn't they just throw in a little FICO? FICO is way more important than geometry, trigonometry, algebra 2. Algebra 2? Well, man, I want to say some bad words, but I'm keeping it clean. Okay, algebra, as if algebra 1 wasn't enough, they came up with algebra 2. Somebody said, hey, let's just throw in a second one. Come on, man. Come on. What's with that? Algebra 1. I got no use for algebra 1. Now you're going to give me algebra 2? Come on, man. Oh, wait. And then they stuck like geometry in the middle, right? So you gotta go algebra 1, geometry, then algebra 2. Wait, and the school I went to, the first high school I went to in Chicago, they threw trigonometry on top of the algebra. So it was algebra trig. Come on, man. How much of that have I used to build my mega fortune? Hey, Mr. Banker, hold up. Let me get out my trigonometry and whip some knowledge on you. My banker don't give a crap about trigonometry. Matter of fact, I bet you my banker flunked trigonometry. Wait a minute, even better. I bet you my banker ditched school and didn't go to trigonometry class because he didn't need it, okay? It's time we got practical and we got real. Am I ranting? I got a friend who's going to say I was yelling all morning. She says that. She says, you yell at people, and she can't take it too long. She can only listen to me for about 8 minutes, and then she turns me off. She says, I feel like you're screaming at me. Well, it's time somebody screamed, okay? It's time somebody screamed at you because, number one, the system is not designed to help you win. That's a secret that they don't want you to know. But this system is not built to teach you how to overcome. The system is not built to teach you how to proliferate. Speedy loves that word, so I throw it in every show. The system is not teaching you how to win, okay? You drove your kids to school this morning, you dropped them off, and there is nothing being taught in that school that's going to help your kid become financially sound. Now, I'm not suggesting you drop out of school or take your kids out of school. That's not my mission. Daron is not the one telling folks drop out of school. So don't go and pull your kid out of class right now and be like, well, Daron said we don't need school. That's not the point. That's not the point. But here's the point. The point is school, the system, the unified school district. You know what they're unified to do? Keep you in your place. They're unified to say, hey, learn what everybody else learns. Regurgitate information. We're going to decide how intelligent you are by determining how well you regurgitate information. So your kid's studying all night for a test and learning stuff that he's going to get quizzed on tomorrow. That is wisdom that means absolutely nothing. Nothing. You want to know what maybe the most valuable class I ever took was? Philosophy. I took philosophy at UCLA. And I learned about Socrates, and Plato wrote about Socrates, and Socrates had to be one of the smartest MFs on planet Earth. That was a clever dude. Socrates, I don't know, a lot of you guys aren't old enough to remember Columbo, but Socrates was like the Columbo of his day. He was a clever dude. But anyway, the point is, I might have learned more in philosophy than in any other class. Any other class. And I took all of them. I went from K through college, and I'm here to tell you, if I'm telling you Socrates was the most important lesson I learned in 16 years of school, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the system, okay? How could I graduate from college? The average person graduates with $200,000 of school debt these days and no practical skills. How come a kid can graduate with $200,000 worth of student loans, tuition bills, and stuff that they owe and can't get a job? Come on, people. What's wrong with that? I heard that the unemployment rate for college graduates is something like 35% in the first 2 years after graduation. Now, let's do some math here. Wait a minute. 35% of the people come out of college, can't find a job that relates to their college education. They're out there driving Uber with a $200,000 bill that they owe the man for going to that college to learn nothing about making it in life. What's wrong with this system, people? It's time somebody shined a light on the BS, okay? It's time somebody, I think it's me. I think it's me. Damn, why did it have to be me? Why did it have to be me? Come on, man. But I think it's me. I think I got to be the people's champion. That's it. You see it right here. You heard it here first. Guess what? You know what that means, right? They're coming after me. They gonna come after me. They gonna probably pull the plug on Speedy's studio so a brother can't talk, so you can't hear me. Because guess what? It's time for me to shine a light on the BS. Let's do it. Let's shine a light on the BS because there's a whole lot of BS going on out there. Why don't we just keep it real? See, people say that keep it real thing all the time, but they don't really know what you're saying. It's time we really start to keep it real. See, the shirt says spiritual gangster. A good friend of mine gave it to me. She didn't realize she was starting a movement. Black Moses is going to lead you from the financial slavery, the financial wilderness, and I'm going to take you to the financial promised land. But first, let's start by shining the light on the BS, okay? And the first thing we should shine a light on is the educational system because the educational system is really just like a babysitting service. Think about it. Are they teaching your kid anything about making it in life? Are they teaching your kid anything about getting ahead in life? Are they teaching your kid anything about how they want to grow up? They should want to grow up to be an owner, not a renter. They should want to grow up to be an owner, not an employee. They should grow up to want to have assets that out earn their liabilities. That they should be learning what financial freedom really means. Financial freedom, ladies and gentlemen, is when your assets pay you enough money to cover all of your liabilities and let you live the lifestyle that you desire. So if you desire to live a $50,000 a month life, then you should have the intelligence to be able to create assets that spin off $50,000 a month in cash flow. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the definition of freedom. That's where the financial freedom promised land lives. That's where it is. The financial promised land is where financial freedom exists. And it's where everybody has assets that cover their liabilities, whether they go to work or not, whether they show up to a job or not. That's where financial freedom lives. It's not in hitting the lottery. If you think your only chance of making it rich in this world is by hitting the lottery, I got a secret for you. You like statistics, don't you? Here's the secret. You got a better chance of being struck by lightning twice than you do of winning the lottery. You hear that? Wait a minute. How many times have you been struck by lightning so far in your life? Okay, you got to get struck by lightning twice before you hit the lottery. So if anybody gets struck by lightning today, call me up and I'll hang out with you, because the second time means you're eligible to win the lottery. But you're more likely to get struck by lightning twice than you are to hit the lottery. So don't go out there and blow that $50 on those lotto tickets. Don't let them lure you in. Ooh, this month's jackpot is $112 million. Here, let me have your $50. Come on, why don't you just give me the $50 and I'll give you some wisdom? How about that? Send me the lotto money and I'll give you some wisdom that'll help you earn some money. I'll tell you about assets and liabilities. I'll teach you about cash flow. I'll teach you about what a cash on cash return is on your investment. Hey, send me your lottery money. Hey, that's another t-shirt, Nick. Send me your lottery money and I'll drop a little wisdom on you. How about that? Okay, so here are the steps. Here are the steps. Number one, you are going to, in your life, you're going to reduce bad debt. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to start reducing the stupid debt, the bad debt, the ugly debt, the consumer debt, the high interest, dumbass loans and credit cards that are raping you for your money. The second step is we're going to get your credit up. We got to get your credit score up, because good credit means something. I'm going to give you some comparisons about credit scores in a minute, okay? This case study that this bank that I read about, that this bank put out secretly. I got a secret bank report that I'm going to share with you. And then, and the third thing we're going to do is going to teach you how to own something instead of just paying nothing but rent. I'll teach you how to own something. Whether it's a business, whether it's a home, whether it's a piece of rental property, you need to become an owner. So get ready. We're going to dive into some stuff. We're going to take a short break. We're going to go about 2 minutes, and we'll be back because we're going to shed a light on the BS. It's time we blow up the system, and I'm here to take you through. This is Daron Campbell. This is the Road to a Million Show. We're on roadtoamillionshow.com. We'll be back in 2 minutes. All right, we are back. This is the roadtoamillionshow.com. I'm coming to you live from roadtoamillionshow.com. I'm coming to you live from Daron Campbell Coaching on Facebook. I got my tribe over here watching on Facebook. I got my audience here watching on roadtoamillionshow.com. We're also in Rollout Show Studios on rolloutshow.com. You can catch us on all of those places. If Marlon's doing his job, then we're on the YouTube channel, Daron Campbell TV, I think it is. Is that right? Somebody is calling me right in the middle of the show. Tell them quit calling me. If you're not calling to talk about the show, call me later. Listen, today is a big day because we're talking about, we're talking about a lot of things, but let's talk about where the fundamental is. The fundamental thing we're talking about today is how the system has failed. Excuse me, I'm getting choked up. The system has failed, ladies and gentlemen. The system has struck out. You know why? Because the system is not designed for you to win. Uh-oh. What'd you say? The system is not designed for you to win. Why do you think it is that such a small minority, a small group of people control all of the wealth? Okay, so check this out. I saw a statistic that said the top 5% of the population control 80% of the wealth. Wait a minute, what? 5% control 80% of the wealth on this planet. So which percentage are you in? Are you in the 5% or are you in the 95%? The 95% are paying rent to the 5%. The 95% are patronizing the businesses of the 5%. The 95% are renting stuff from the 5%. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Have you been left out? Did they leave you out of the equation? Did school do you any favors or did school fail you? Think about it. You spend all that time. I think about myself. Okay, use me as an example. I think about myself. I spent all that time worrying about getting straight A's in school. I mean, I stressed out about this. My mom was all about the grades, right? All about the grades. The grades were everything. And while that was at its core, at the core, that was a great intention. I mean, your mom thought, okay, you get good grades, you give yourself a better chance in life. I believe that. I mean, I'm with that, right? Mom's intentions were great. However, the system is built in a flawed manner. What good did that A that I got in trigonometry do? What good did it do for me? That A that I got in geography, what good did it do? So I know where Iran is. What the hell? Who cares? Who cares where Iran is? Iran don't care where I am. So who cares that I know where the freaking Sahara Desert is? Who cares that I know that there's 7 continents and I can name most of the countries on those stupid 7 continents? Who gives a rat's ass? Nobody told me how to make some money. They were telling me how to find the Sahara Desert on the globe. Come on, man. You wasted all that time in 3rd grade showing me how to find a country on a globe. I'm pissed. I'm mad because somebody took my money. I'm mad. I'm pissed off. And Marlon and Nick get the brunt of it because I'm just preaching and ranting. Oh, and you know who says I'm yelling at everybody. Well, damn it, I'm yelling. Yes, I'm yelling. So deal with it because somebody took my money. Somebody took my money. I went to school. I went to school for 16 years. And while I was in school for 16 years, somebody was out there building an apartment building to rent me a unit so I could pay for it. Come on. Are you pissed off yet? If you're not pissed off yet, you need to join me and get over here in the world of pistivity. Come on. We should all be mad. We've been buffaloed. Somebody got us. Somebody convinced us to spend all our time and energy going to school, going to these classrooms. Hey, I'm guilty. I'm the number one guy. I'm the straight A student. I spent 16 years. Not only did I spend 16 years going to school, I spent another 20 years studying for that crap. Come on. I could get a better grade than you in geography. If we had a trigonometry contest, I would kick your butt. But you probably got more money in the bank than I do. What the hell is wrong? What is wrong with the system? They're not teaching us how to win the game. Is that by design, you think? You think maybe somebody out there doesn't want us to know how to win? You think maybe somebody decided, hey, let's just send them all off to a classroom and let's keep them all poor. Oh, I got a great idea. Let's underpay some people. So let's have some poor people teach a bunch of poor people how to stay poor. Oh, how about that? While we go over here and build some empires. Think about it. Okay? Think about it. You spent 6, 7, 8 hours a day for 8 plus 4 plus sometimes 4 more. Some of you guys are super educated. Some of y'all got graduate degrees. I know a dude with 3 graduate degrees. They really got him. They got him extra. They got him extra because he came to ask me for a job last week. They really stuck it to him. Think about it. Come on, you guys, let's wake up. It's wake up time. It's wake up time. We used to play this music from the Wake Up Show. There was a show called the Wake Up Show a while back. I used to play their theme music. Now I'll go to jail for playing their theme music because Nick got me a million viewers out there. I can't play other people's music. But the point is, you got to wake up because somebody buffaloed us, man. Somebody sold us a bill of goods. Some of you graduated from college $250,000 in debt. And then they said, we don't have no job for you. Wait a minute. Hold on. What's wrong with this system? You mean you went to college? You mean you went to grade school for 8 years, and then you went to high school for 4, and then you went to college for 4 more. Wait. And then you extra folks went to graduate school for another 2 or 3. And then when you got done, they said, uh-oh. Marlon's cracking up over here. Somebody said, ruh-roh, we don't have no job for you. Somebody took your place while you were in graduate school. Why don't you go back and get another one and check with us in 3 years? Come on. What's wrong with the system? Something is wrong, my people. Something's wrong with the game. Something's wrong with the game. It's time we change the game. Woo, Marlon, you got to turn on the fans. I'm burning up. I'm on fire in here. Why am I on fire? Because this is the road to 1 million, and I'm trying to show you how to get on the road to 1 million. RoadTo1MillionShow.com is where we are. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, and I'm mad. I'm pissed off at the system, and so something's got to change. Something's got to change. Can we blow it up? Let's blow the system up. They're gonna be mad at me. You realize that, right? We're gonna make some enemies because we're gonna blow up the system. Somebody convinced us all to go to school, spend 7 or 8 hours a day learning that Christopher Columbus discovered a country that was already here. They gave him the credit and renamed the country, gave him credit for discovering it. People have been here for thousands of years, but they let this cat discover it. Man, how do you rate? I mean, come on, I want to go discover a country. I think I'm going to go to Canada next week. I'm going to say, I discovered this joint and put my name on it, stick a flag in it. We'll call that Daron country. Let's call it Daronia. And all I got to do is show up. And if the right people say I discovered it, I guess that's the way it works. If a cat say, hey, look, man, we're going to give you credit for discovering that. You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to drive to Nevada and discover it. What if I drive to Nevada and put a flag down and say, I just discovered this mother. Let's rename it. All the people in it, they don't mean nothing. I discovered it. I don't care how long you've been here. I don't care that you got your houses built and all that. I discovered this. Let's rename it. I'm the hero. Oh, and then teach it in the history books. Christopher Columbus got credit. You went to school so that they could sell you some BS about a dude who discovered a country that was already here full of people. Wait a minute. And some of you, like me, went to private school, so you paid somebody to teach you this. You paid somebody. Man, my parents worked hard to pay for that private school education. And then I won all these scholarships that paid a lot of money for me to go to UCLA. And all that money was paid to some people so they could tell me a bunch of lies and teach me a bunch of stuff that doesn't do me any good in the real world. What is wrong with the system? Man, I thought I was going to be here talking to you guys about FICO scores. I'm rolling because I'm pissed at the system. And guess what? It's time we blew it up. What do you think? If we can start a movement, let's blow the system up. Something's got to change. At the very least, schools should have taught you how to save money. Did anybody ever talk to you about saving money in school? Let me just think. Marlon, did anybody ever teach you about saving money? Yeah. Marlon said, hell no. Ain't nobody teach him nothing. Nick, did they teach you how to save money in school? Hell no. They said, oh, yeah. There's that part. They sent him a credit card, but in the meantime, nobody had taught him how to use the credit card. They just sent him a credit card. He thought it was free money. I told you guys about my credit card story. Man, I got that first credit card in the mail freshman year at UCLA. I'm like, ooh, I'm rich. I'm rich. I had a $297 limit on a Macy's credit card, and a brother went crazy. I went out and bought a leather jacket in the middle of summertime and blew the whole limit on the credit card. So here's the thing. They want you to have credit cards. Why? Because they want you to go into credit card debt. Why? Because that's how they get you to, that's how they stick you up. They rob you legally by giving you the access to money that you don't have, and then they charge you exorbitant interest rates to pay them back. So it took me a total of like 10 years to pay back. It took me 10 years to pay back my college credit card because I was paying the minimum payments and I wasn't digging out of the hole at all. So look at the system. Look at how the system's built. Nobody took the time to teach me about credit cards, interest rates, payments, accelerated payments, none of that. But they gave me a credit card without even having me fill out an application. I didn't even have to fill out an application for that credit card. You sense something wrong here? Does somebody smell a rat? What the hell did Macy's know about me? They knew I was a student at UCLA. They knew that that means I probably would get a job at some point, which means I could probably make my payments at some point, which means I'm a good risk for them. And guess what? I was the biggest sucker in town. I owed Macy's money for 10 years. I paid them for 10 years until I finally woke up and got myself educated. Did UCLA give me that education? No. Hey, it's a beautiful campus. Campus is beautiful. Hot girls running around everywhere. There's like pretty women everywhere. When UCLA was like heaven on earth, except they didn't teach me nothing practical. I love the university. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing UCLA. I love that place. But they didn't teach me nothing about interest rates. They didn't teach me nothing about a checking account. They didn't teach me a thing about how to grow assets. They didn't teach me a thing about liabilities. They didn't teach me a thing about financial freedom. They didn't teach me a thing about cash flow. But I got an A in astronomy. I could tell you I could show you some constellations in the sky. Now think about that. You want to talk about a really good distraction? Go to campus tomorrow. I want you to go to UC. We're gonna take a field trip. We're gonna take the cameras out in the field, Nick, and we're gonna do the show from the field. And I'm gonna sneak up on the astronomy class, right? Watch me dip on the astronomy class. Marlon will have the camera, and I'm gonna roll up and I'm gonna like slide into the astronomy class. And what the astronomy class is gonna be doing when I sneak up on them is gonna be like 40 people, and all be looking up in the sky. And they can be pointing in the sky. And all the landlords out there that's building apartment buildings, they're gonna be chuckling because we got all of those stupid motherfuckers, all those stupid people out there looking up at the sky, counting the stars, while we over here building these apartment buildings. And we're gonna rent to them after they graduate, and we're gonna make them tenants for life, and we're gonna get rich while they're learning astronomy. Think about that. How much time did you spend in astronomy class? I got an A. That tells you about mine. Geography. How much time did you learn about other countries that other people discovered that they really didn't discover? Think about it. It's the greatest distraction in the world. I can distract you for 16 straight years and not teach you a thing about life or money or growth or wealth or finances or assets and liabilities. I can distract you for 16 years just on autopilot. I don't even have to tell you to go. You just go. The system has been built to just send you off to school. Hey, everybody needs a college degree. Now, wait a minute. How could everybody need a college degree? I mean, think about it. Think about this for a second. They've made it such that you feel guilty if you don't go to college, don't you? I know people that are embarrassed because they didn't graduate from college. They're ashamed of the fact that they didn't graduate from college. I got a really close relative that is like defensive about not graduating from college. And I always got to tell you how much more money he makes than some college graduates. Think about that. The system has like burned this idea in your head that you have to go to school, and the more school you go to, the more hireable you are. There's a bad word. You are much more employable if you get more educated. If that's not the biggest distraction full of BS thing I've ever heard, what is? Go to more school so that you're more employable, so that we can stick you in a job. We'll give you a little more status. We'll give you a little better title. And then we'll keep you on that job for 30, 40, 50 years. And we'll give you a little watch at the end of it, and then you might have a few dollars in a retirement fund or a pension plan. And hey, you lived a good life. You didn't have any freedom. Somebody else had to tell you you could take 2 weeks off a year, but only if it was convenient for them. Now, no. You can't have that 2 weeks. I'm gonna be in Tahiti. You can't take the day off. me and my family, we're gonna be on our yacht, so you can't have that day off. I'm thinking to myself, wait, you telling me I can't have the day off? Yeah, the owner gets to say that. The owner, but you got your college degree, didn't you? You got a good job, remember? But the owner of that company, now he gets to take the month off in Tahiti. Where will you be when he's in Tahiti with his family on his yacht? Did anybody teach you about owning that company? Did anybody teach you in school about how to own anything? Or did they just send you off to school for 12 or 16 or 19 years so that you could get a better job? A better job. Now, let's flash forward. The system has collapsed on us, ladies and gentlemen, because everybody out there that's eligible for that better job, 35% of them are unemployed. What? 35% of the people with these expensive college degrees are out of work. They're driving Uber. They're freaking driving Uber. You know what? You could have saved that $250,000 on tuition. You could have been driving Uber anyway. What's wrong with this picture, ladies and gentlemen? Man, oh man, it's frustrating. I get frustrated. So it's time to blow up the system. I want to blow it up. Oh, the Secret Service might be listening now. You say blow it up online. They're like, uh-oh, terrorists. I'm not talking about blowing anything up literally, Mr. Secret Service. I'm just talking about blowing up this system so that people can stop being financial slaves. It's time to get out of the financial desert. It's time to get to the financial promised land. Let's learn to own something. Let's stop burying our heads in these stupid school books that aren't really teaching our kids how to grow. Don't you want your kids to have it better than you did? It's time. Let's change it. Let's change it. I'm going to be the leader of the revolution. Listen, I got to be the people's champion. It's my calling. I feel it. I had an epiphany. How about that? I saw the light. It's time that I blew this thing up. So we're going to take a short break. When I come back, I'm going to talk to you about FICO scores and how they affect your dollars and cents every day. I'm Daron Campbell. I'm the hardest working man in real estate. I'm your real estate mentor, but now I just declare myself Black Jesus. I'm taking you out of the financial desert and I'm leading you to the financial promised land. It's time we blew up the system. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in 2 to a million show. This is Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. I am your real estate mentor, but I got a new title. I'm the people's champion. It's time that we educated the people, us, regular folks, about how the game is won. Because nobody taught us. Nobody taught us. Every day we waltzed off to school. We had our nice little lunchbox. We had our new backpack. You wore your new Vans to school, whatever kind of shoes you're wearing these days. They're wearing, I don't know, $200 Yeezys. How much are Yeezys these days? Oh my God. $500 for. Don't even get me started. Let's keep it moving. This is Road to a Million Show. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. You're a real estate mentor and the people's champion. It's time I led people out of the financial wilderness and into the financial promised land. And that's all about assets. That's all about cash flow. That's all about passive income. That's all about compound interest. That's all about great credit. That's all about ownership. There's a word you ought to be talking to your kids about every day. Ownership. The game is about ownership, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Ownership. Let's stop being renters and borrowers. Let's talk about owning something. Let's stop being consumers. Let's talk about owning something. All right? All right, so let's get some fundamental stuff because I ranted for the whole first hour. And so my friend out there who says I yell at everybody all the time, if she was listening in the first hour, she's going to say, see? That's why I can't listen to you more than 7 minutes, because all you do is yell at the people. But listen. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I get a little fired up. I get a little heated up because it's time we busted out of the financial wilderness and started becoming owners and started getting some financial wherewithal going. Come on. Somebody else's. I mean, look, think about it. If you rent, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. If you're an employee, you're putting money in somebody else's pocket. If an employer can afford to pay you $50,000 to do your job, how much do you think he's making off of you? Ooh, think about that. If somebody can afford to pay you $20 an hour, how much do you think your work is really worth? 30, 40, 50? Who's getting the difference? Him, the owner. My favorite word, owner. You should be an owner. It's time. Isn't it time you owned something? Can we stop the consumer mentality? Can we stop the renter mentality? Can we stop the tenant mentality and start getting the owner mentality? Somebody learned a game that's a little different than the one we learned. Somebody taught somebody some stuff, and they didn't include us. Matter of fact, maybe they did it while we were on summer break. We went on summer break, and I think they were having some secret sessions and invited some folks to some stuff, and they weren't teaching us. They sent us off to summer camp or home camp for a lot of us. But the fact is, somewhere, somebody was learning a different lesson. What lesson did you learn? What lesson did you learn? Did somebody teach you about financial wherewithal? Did somebody ever teach you about compounding interest? Did somebody ever teach you about mortgages, about interest, about assets, about cash flow? Sometimes I wonder, like, how can somebody come here from another country, don't speak the language, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years in, they own 5 apartment buildings and 3 businesses, and they got a net worth of $3 million, and you still got the same thing you had 7 years ago. You still got that job, you still pay your rent, and you still consume like crazy. You're out buying a new pair of Jordans, and somebody else is getting paid. You're out making sure you pay your rent on time, but you're in effect paying the mortgage for the landlord. He's owning, you're renting. His building was worth $400,000 10 years ago, and today it's worth $800,000. Let that one sink in for a second. Let that sink in for a second. 10 years ago, what were you doing 10 years ago? Think about it. How old are you now? Subtract 10. Now think about what you were doing, okay? Now let me tell you a little story. If here in the state of California, you bought a home for $250,000 10 years ago, you know what it's worth today? $510,000. That's the number. So if you paid rent for that 10 years, your landlord made your rent, he took your rent, and he went and paid his mortgage, and his building, his house that you rent from him, doubled in value. He made $250,000. You paid the mortgage on his house, and you rented the house, you paid his mortgage, and he made $250,000 while you were watching. Think about that. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that. All right. Now, today I came here. Boy, oh boy. The show's half over, and I came here to talk about a whole lot of other things. I got 10 pages of notes. I haven't touched them. Why? Because I'm ranting. I think UCLA is calling saying, give us the scholarship back. They're mad. They're mad. I'm sorry. But I didn't learn. About life. I didn't learn about assets and liabilities. My buddy T. Key, she went to UCLA with me. Hey, T, did anybody teach us about assets and liabilities at UCLA? Did anybody teach us about cash flow? Did somebody say, Daron, go and buy every piece of real estate you can as long as it cash flows and hang on to it and don't sell it? Wait a minute. Don't ever sell it. But wait a minute. If you do sell it, wait, check this out. I didn't learn this until I got into real estate. If you own a rental piece of property, remember the guy I just told you about? You've been paying his mortgage. His house was worth $250,000 10 years ago. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully, because a lot of you don't know this. His house was worth $250,000 10 years ago. You rented it from him. You've been paying rent for 10 years. He took your money and he paid his mortgage, right? His house is now, 10 years later, worth $500,000. Okay? He made a $250,000 profit because you paid his mortgage. The market went up. The house is worth double. Check this out. Now, here's the magic. Here's the magic. You want to know why the system is not built for you to succeed? Because nobody told you this. He can sell that house and sell that house for $500,000. And guess what he can do? If he reinvests that money into a bigger house, the government says he doesn't have to pay any taxes. Wait a minute. What did you just say? I just said you paid his mortgage. His mortgage, the value of his house doubled. The government says, hey, Mr. Rich Landlord, if you sell that house and you go buy a bigger house with the money and rent that to another tenant, then you don't have to pay any capital gains taxes on the increase. Wait a minute. You mean I paid his mortgage? He made a $250,000 profit. He gets to sell that property and go buy a bigger property and pay no taxes on the profit. That's monopoly at its best, ladies and gentlemen. What game are you playing? That's the game of monopoly in real life, and you playing tiddlywinks. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's wake up. Let's wake up. Oh my goodness. That's called a 1031 exchange. Anybody ever heard of that? A 1031 exchange is the law that says if you own a piece of income producing property and you sell it at a profit, as long as you reinvest that money into another income producing property, you pay no taxes. How much did you pay in taxes this year? How much did they take out of your check for taxes? Huh? Did you look at that? Should we go back and look at that? Should we talk about it? The guy who sold the house you live in and doubled his money, made a $250,000 profit. He paid no taxes. How much did you pay? He's got a $500,000 house. He just pulled $500,000 out and he went and bought another one and paid no taxes. How much did you pay in taxes? Wake up, people. Freaking wake up. Let's go. Yeah, I'm yelling. I'm screaming at the people. Don't get mad. It's got to happen. All right. I went back and I pulled up a study that a bank issued. Listen to this. A memo. This is a memo. I photocopied this. This is about 7 or 8 years ago. I photocopied this because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Let me tell you, you think credit doesn't matter. You think, I got bad credit, no big deal. They charge me a few more dollars. Let me give you an example of why credit really matters. Let me give you an example of why credit is huge. Okay, here's this bank memo. The memo said it did a study on how much people pay for their mortgage based on their credit score. All right, so I'm going to give you an example of what somebody with a bad credit score pays for a mortgage versus somebody with a good. And I'm going to go down these steps. And this is a memo from one banker to another, and it was kind of like a chuckle memo because they were chuckling at the suckers out there that pay more money to borrow money. And so the reason this was an important memo is because it was a memo from a bank vice president to the bank president when they wanted to do a study on should they be doing loans for people with not so great credit, right? Okay, so check this out. Here's what I took a snapshot of what the people with the different credit scores paid. So this is a few years back when interest rates were a little bit higher than they are today. But check this out. A person with let's start with the great credit. A person with great credit, they were willing to loan this person a house. Let's see, how much was the house worth? I don't know. Anyway, let's just roll with me here for a second. A person with a 720 FICO score, A 720 FICO score, that's high credit, by the way. My buddies, I got some credit folks that are watching me right now, and I'm going to have them on the show. We're going to talk about credit. But listen, if you had a 720 FICO score, this bank was willing to loan you money at 5.5%. Your payment was $1,136 a month. Okay? And for over 30 years, this person spends $208,853 in interest. Okay? All right, roll with me there. That's a 720 FICO score. 5.5% interest is where the bank was willing to loan you the money. And your payment was $1,136. And the total of your payments was $208,853. Okay? So good credit, that's what they pay. Now let's just jump up to the person with a slightly lower credit score. They had a 675 FICO score. So the person with a 675 FICO score instead of a 720 was charged 6.1% interest. Their payment was $1,220 instead of $1,136. And their 30 years worth of payments was $239,250. So $208,000 for the person with great credit, $239,000 for the person with slightly less credit. That's $31,000 difference, right? Just for having a 675 FICO instead of a 720. Now let's talk about your credit. No, not yours. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not you. But the vice president was trying to make a case to the president about why we should loan the suckers money. Why should we loan deadbeats money, Fred? Fred says, let me tell you why, George. We should loan the suckers money. We should loan the deadbeats money because with a person with a 500 FICO score will agree to take our loan at 9.3% interest, and their payments are $1,651 a month, and their total of payments, now hold on to your seat, credit mavens, their total of payments, $394,362 over 30 years. Wait a minute. Did you catch that? Did you catch that? Listen to me. The person with great credit pays $208,853 over 30 years. The person with crappy credit pays $394,362. Who's got the calculator? We got to see what that difference is. That is ridiculous. Hold on. Let me get out my calculator. Marlon's a little slow on his calculator, so I'm going to tell you the difference. $394,362 minus $208,853. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on to your pantyhose. The person with crappy credit spends $185,509 more than the person with good credit on the same mortgage on the same house. Do you hear me? Your bad credit costs you $185,000. Yeah, they'll give you that loan. George was like, well, hell, go write some more loans, Fred. You know why? That bank is getting rich off of the people with crappy credit. Your credit card company is getting rich off of the people with crappy credit. Your car financing company is getting rich off of the people with crappy credit. What interest rate are you paying for your car, for your credit card, for your house? Think about it. They prey on the financially ignorant. They prey on people who don't know any better. So they don't mind if you keep your credit in the toilet. They don't mind. Why? Because you're going to pay the price. They're going to charge you more. There's a credit card company that charges 22% interest, and they will give absolutely anybody a credit card. They will give your 2-year-old son a credit card. You know why? Because they charge 22% interest for that credit card. They don't care what your credit score is. You can have the card. Come on, take it. You're going to pay us 22% interest. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. What are we doing? What are we doing? We have to become more financially aware. You got to get rid of bad debt. It's a silent killer. You just heard it right there. I just gave you a live example. You pay $185,000 more over the course of a 30-year mortgage just for having bad credit versus good credit. Same loan, same house, same everything. Bad credit pays $394,000. Good credit pays $208,000. Which one are you? Come on, people. Let's wake up. Reduce bad credit. We got to get our credit scores up. We got to get over 700. Let's get our credit scores over 700. Why? Because the people with credit scores over 700 get stuff cheaper. How about that? They get stuff cheaper than you get it. You got a 550 FICO score. They got a 720 FICO score. They get the gold card. They get the black card. You get the green one. You got the green one. That's the one with 20% interest. Are you paying attention to the interest you're paying? And then the third step. So we said we got to reduce bad debt. We got to get our credit scores up. And we got to become owners. We got to become owners of stuff. That's why I'm leading this revolution. I'm leading the revolution. That's me. I'm leading it. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. You're a real estate mentor, but I'm the people's champion now. I have declared myself the people's champion. It's time to get you out of the financial hole. It's time to get you out of a financial rut. It's time that we started to grow. Come on. Because whatever school the rich people went to, they were learning a different lesson. They were learning something different. They weren't worried about Christopher Columbus discovering America. But think about it. You think, did they have to just like make up some stuff to teach us to waste our time? Christopher Columbus? Are you kidding me? I actually think we spent like 2 weeks on Christopher Columbus. 2 weeks. They wasted our time for 2 weeks talking about that dude. He didn't discover nothing. He shouldn't even be in the book. He shouldn't even be in the book. Okay? And they named America after Amerigo Vespucci. They named it after an Italian dude. They couldn't even give a Native American any credit. They named America after an Italian cat. All those millions of Native Americans standing, they were here the whole time. Some dudes came over from Italy and discovered the joint. Come on, really? Really? And hey, you know what? Let's just rename it after one of our boys. Hey, Amerigo. Hey, why don't we name it after Amerigo? He's been cool lately. Let's name that one after him. Okay, let's do it. They just named it after one of their homies. Like, what if I go to Canada and say, let's just call this Marlinville? We discovered it ain't Canada no more. We don't care about the Canadians. Let's just name it Marlinville. That's one of my boys. That's Marlin. Okay, well, let's name it after him. Like, and it's like, wait, you know, they were gonna name America Columbia after Columbus, but they had already gotten to Columbia, so they gave him one. And he's like, Amerigo was mad. Amerigo was like, what about me? Can I get one? They were like, okay, we're gonna name this one after you, Amerigo. Let's just call it America. And that dude Amerigo was happy after that because Columbus already had Columbia. They were like, well, you already got one, man. It's my turn. They were just running around naming stuff. It's like, let's go get the next one. Well, what are we gonna call the next one? They were just riding around in ships, claiming countries. Wait, hold up. Talk about gangster. These cats jumped on a boat, and the first place they landed, they changed the name and named it after themselves, and said, "Look what we found." They claimed that they discovered a country where there was 50 million people already living. Now that's some creative stuff right there. That's bad. That's gangster. Now that's really gangster. If that's like you going up in somebody's house and be like, "This is mine now." That's mine. Daron's house. I'm just gonna roll up on somebody's house. This is my house now. I'm here. Columbus just rolled up, gangster the country. He gangster the country, named it after one of his homies, and then they put it in the history book and made you go learn about it. Made you spend a semester learning about how they discovered all these countries. Come on, people. We got to quit getting buffaloed. It's time for us to get real with some stuff. It's really time for us to wake up. That's really what this is, okay? Standard education is not really education. Now, I'm a fan of education. Don't say Daron said everybody should drop out of school. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's an intelligence that you need to have that they're not teaching in school. And we look at school, but we're really using it as a glorified babysitter. Come on, think about it. You're really just happy to get those kids off to school because you're tired of them. You don't want to deal. That's really what's going on. Everybody's there. Everybody who drops their kid off drives away with a big ass smile on their face. I'm free for 8 hours. That's really what's going on. And you really, if you really thought about what they were teaching your kid in that school, you'd be like, I'm just dropping my kid off to waste their time. I'm dropping Junior off to waste 8 hours. I mean, I think of all the drama and all the stress I had because I wanted to maintain this 4.0 GPA. I wanted to be a straight A student. Ooh, I want to be the straight A student. All that while I'm kissing teachers' asses and studying hard and learning how many countries Christopher Columbus hit in his ship. He was doing a float by on every country he could and sticking a flag in the ground. Come on, that's ours too. And the fact is, I wasn't learning anything real. I wasn't learning anything practical. I wasn't learning anything applicable to life. I wasn't learning anything that could help my financial proliferation. There's that word again, Speedy. There was nothing being taught to me about the real world. Maybe the book, the simple book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, taught me more than 4 years at UCLA. 4 years with pretty much as an A student. One book got real with me. Another book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. That's another book. Gave me more than 4 years worth of education. Come on, I got books. I got lots of books. I read lots and lots and lots of books. And maybe it's time you read a few more books. Hey, Marlon, we gotta put a book list up on the site. I'm gonna get a book list going because I'm supposed to tell you guys about a new book to read each show. So we're gonna start. I gotta be consistent with that. Angie, you gotta remind me to recommend a book. Angie's always watching 100% of the time. So if I need to be reminded about something, because I'll tell Marlon first, he'll forget. Angie will remind us. So I gotta recommend a book to you every show. That's my promise, and that way you can start to grow yourself and have a financial education. A little bit different than the geography education you got. A little bit different than the algebra and trigonometry education that you got. I mean, amazing. How much stress did you have over that history test? How much stress did you have? I mean, there were nights I stayed up all night studying for my biology exam. Okay? I'm a real estate agent. What the hell am I doing with a biology test keeping me awake all night? All I wanted was the money, ladies and gentlemen. Just show me how to make some money. That biology test kept me up all night, no sleep. I drank like 16 cups of coffee. I took something called no-dose. Don't ever take no-dose, okay? You feel like you're about to die. It's like a heart attack thing. To study for a biology exam. Now, wait a minute. I'm gonna find my old biology book. This book, 2,000 pages. 2,000 pages. And this psychopath professor, he made us responsible for about 150 pages a week of learning stuff about Bio 5. Bio 5. They called it a weeder class. It was supposed to get you kicked out of school. Wait a minute. They designed a class that's designed to make people fail so that they could decide who was smarter, who was smartest. It was kind of this weird thing. They took pride in certain classes that were supposed to weed out people who were not as equipped to make it through school. Does that make any sense? I mean, if you stop and think about some stuff, let's get real. The system in many colleges, wait a minute, let me tell you this. A lot of you didn't go to traditional universities, so let me tell you something. They graded in college on a thing called the curve. Anybody familiar with that? Grading on a curve? You want to know what's mandatory in a curve? It's mandatory that a small percentage get A's. It's mandatory that a small percentage get Fs and everyone else is in the middle, B's, C's, and D's. Now, think about that for a second. Here's a system, a college system that's charging you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, where the grading system is guaranteeing that some people flunk. What's wrong with this picture? Is that an education system that's building up your ability to succeed in life so that we guarantee that somebody's going to fail? What is the use of that? Okay, so I digress. This is not a diatribe against education. Okay, so let's just be clear. That's my disclaimer. But this is a sermon about real education, about learning about what's real out there. You need to become educated financially, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know what interest rate you're paying for your credit card? Do you know what interest rate you're paying for your car? Do you know that your lease on your car is reflective of a money factor? Do you know that people with really good credit are paying a much lower price for the same car than you are? And there's a money factor that the finance company uses to calculate what your lease payment will be. Not everyone pays the same rate. Not everyone has the same money factor. You think you're paying the same rate as the guy who pulled up next to you with the same car. But guess what? He's paying $400 a month less than you. Wait a minute. Is that an eye-opener? Have you thought about that? You heard about the interest rates on the mortgage, the difference. There's the same things going on with your car. Uh-oh, wait, I got another one for you. Same things going on with your credit card, ladies and gentlemen. You're paying 16% interest. Somebody else is paying 8%. Do you know the difference? Do you know why? Have you ever challenged it? Have you ever questioned it? Come on, let's wake up. Let's quit flying blind. Let's get out of the financial wilderness. That's why this is the Road to a Million show. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. I'm your real estate mentor, but I'm the people's champion now. I've decided I'm declaring war on the system. It's time we blew it up. You know why? Because it's keeping too many of us ignorant, keeping too many of us in the dark, keeping too many of us in a financial hole, keeping too many of us being renters and consumers and overpayers for everything. And I think it should stop right now on the Road to a Million show. I think it should stop right now. Let's get educated. Let's get smart. Let's get on the other side of the curtain. You never even seen behind the curtain, have you? Do you know there are people out there that are making more money in a week than you make in a year? Do you know there are people out there who are getting paid while they sleep? Do you know that there are people who are flying on private jets talking about how much they're going to raise your rent? Come on, there are people making financial decisions for you, and you don't even know it. And even worse, you have nothing to say about it. You have no control over it. Now, isn't it time that ended? Why is it that there's a huge segment of this population that doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes, and then there's a small few that are making all the rules and also making all the money? What's wrong with this picture? I think, hey, Marlon and Nick, I think it's time I blew up the system. What do you think? It's a revolution. Okay, I declared it. It's the start of the revolution. Let's do it. Let's do it. I've decided to take this on, and you guys can help. Share the show. Let's get an army. Uh-oh, Secret Service is really listening now. Let's build an army, and let's become financial warriors. Let's become this crew, this tribe, this group of people who becomes financially enlightened and gets ourselves out of the rut. And then let's start teaching some more people to do it. Each one teach one. If you learn something good on this show, tell your kids about it. If you learn something intelligent that you might want to implement in your financial life, tell your brother and your sister about it. It's time this became viral. It's time that we all banded together and grew and came out of the financial basement. Aren't you sick of being in the financial basement? Aren't you tired of somebody else pulling all the strings? Aren't you tired of paying somebody else's mortgage and paying somebody else? I guarantee you. I was in the marina the other day, and there's all these yachts out there. And I guarantee you, most of the people who have all those yachts out there are people who are who own stuff. They own stuff. They own the business. They own the apartment building that you live in. They own the house that you're paying rent in. You know what's going on in the real world right now? There's these companies. There's this thing called iBuyers. Anybody ever heard of an iBuyer? You know what an iBuyer is? It's a company. It's a company that has all of this capital, and they make offers sight unseen to people for their houses. And then they either rent those houses out, fix them up and rent them out, or they fix them up and resell them at a much higher price. They're controlling billions and billions of dollars, and they're buying real estate at a discount, and then they're either renting those homes to you, or they're reselling them at a huge profit. Now, this is legal. It's completely legal. And we're standing around watching it happen again. Okay? It's time to get off the sidelines. It's time for us to change things. It's time for you to stop being such a passive renter consumer, and it's time to take control of your financial future. Join the revolution. Here we go. This is the Road to a Million show. That's what it's all about. We're starting the revolution. It's starting today. It's starting right now. I'm declaring myself the leader. I'm declaring myself the leader of the revolution. That's why I got on my spiritual gangster shirt. It's because it's time we overhauled the system. It's time that we realize that school is not enough. It's time we break the mold. It's time we threw that mold out and came up with a different plan. It's time that our kids became financially intelligent and stop with the passiveness. School is not going to make your kids financially free. It's just not. It's just not. I'm sorry. And you can send them off to anywhere you want to send them. What the greatest school in the world. I know people spend $30,000, $40,000 a year in tuition so their kids could go learn about Christopher Columbus. Think about that. The system says go to school, be a good student, get good grades, and you'll get a good job. That's an empty promise, ladies and gentlemen. They can't even guarantee you a good job anymore. Maybe that was the thing for a different era, but today, that plan doesn't work. And if you want to be condemned to a job for the rest of your life, that's the formula. If you want your kids to work for someone for the rest of their lives, that's the formula. Send them off to school. Say, hey, go get good grades, little Johnny, and then the world will be waiting for you when you get out with a great job. First of all, that's no longer true. Secondly, that's a formula for failure. Think about it. You don't want your kids to be condemned to working a job the rest of their lives. I mean, you might have to. I'm sorry. Maybe it's too late for you. But don't condemn your kids to that same fate. Let's break the system. Let's break the mold. Let's bust out of this thing. Okay? All right. We're going to take another short break, and we're going to come back with some more stuff. And I promise maybe I won't yell or preach as much. I'm lying. Yes, I will. We'll be back 2 minutes. This is the Road to a Million show. I'm Daron Campbell. See you in a minute. Okay. Oh, boy. I'm ranting today. I haven't even looked at any of my notes. I had 7 pages of notes for you guys today, but guess what? I'm on a roll. I'm ranting. I'm yelling. I'm preaching. Sorry, I'll apologize later. But this is the Road to a Million show. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate. You're a real estate mentor. But guess what I am now? I'm the leader of the financial revolution. It's time. I want to lead you. I want to lead you out of the financial wilderness and into the financial promised land. And it's just, this is a great platform to do it. This is a great time to do it. Let me tell you a secret. And we're going to talk about this on next week. Winter is coming. Anybody know what that means? Winter is coming. That means a period of financial stress is going to happen in the world. And I'm not declaring life over. It's not Armageddon. It's just winter. Financial winter. What does that mean? That means the economies are going to shift. And we're going to find ourselves in a marketplace where it's harder to get jobs, where it's harder to get credit, where it's harder to buy things. And the question is, are you going to be prepared for it? It's not about if it happens. Did you know that more wealth is created during recessions than during good times? Did you know more wealth is transferred during recessions than in good times? Did you know that rich people will become infinitely richer during a recession? Oh man. A lot of people don't know that. But that's why I'm starting the financial revolution, because it's time you knew these things. It's time we got you ready. It's time that we got you educated. It's time that we blew up the system. Okay, today we're talking about how we have been sort of lulled to sleep by the system. Think about it. You've been lulled to sleep. They teach you, the system teaches you to basically spend the ages from age 5 to the age basically 20. Wait, how old was I when I graduated from college? 21. From the age 5 until the age of 21, basically the system said, Daron, go to school, get good grades, and you will be well taken care of for the rest of your life. That's the load of BS that I was sold. Which one were you sold? Were you sold that same load of BS? Start school at 5 years old, spend the next 16 or 19 or more years going to a classroom, being taught by a broke person how to learn things that don't mean a thing, and then you'll be taken care of the rest of your life with a good job and some financial security. Am I off here, or is that what we were taught? Am I off here, or is that what the system has delivered? Now think about that. Now that's the sermon to the masses. Hey everybody, go to school, get educated, get yourself a good job. And then there's a secret society over here going, hey, look, check out all those suckers in school coming out trying to get a good job. Let's decide what kind of job they should have. Let's decide how much we're going to pay them. Let's decide where they should live. Let's decide how much rent they should give us. Let's decide how much interest we're going to charge them for the money they borrow. And let's keep them in debt for their entire adult lives. Does that resemble you? Does that sound like you? Or are you on the other side of the curtain? Or are you one of them? Are you on the other side of the curtain? Do you collect rent instead of pay it? Do you collect revenue from your business? Or are you one of the people in line in the business? Think about it. Think about it. Oh, wait a minute. I went to Starbucks this morning. Marlon and I meet at Starbucks to talk about the show. I got my cup of coffee. Okay. I got the little egg bites because I'm a protein junkie. And I got a bottle of water. Okay, cool. Sounds like a normal day at Starbucks, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I spent $11.71. Let's do that, $11.71. Let me get out my calculator again. Get ready. We're going to drop a little science on you. Let's just use some real-world examples. We're going to use Daron Campbell as a guinea pig today. So I went to Starbucks. I got some coffee. I like that nitro coffee. They can get $5 for some nitro coffee. Nitro coffee. Wait, let's think about that for a second. They get $5 for this cup of nitro coffee. What does nitro coffee mean? They put a little gas in it. They load up some CO2. They put the coffee in this. It's regular. It's just regular coffee, but they put it in a CO2 machine and then they blow it out and they gas it up. And then I get to pay $3 extra for it. Ooh, that's a good one. I wonder what Starbucks will come up with next. That they gas up the coffee and charge me $5. All right, so I spent $11.71, $11.71 at Starbucks. And let's say Marlon and I meet there 5 days a week, and I spend $11.71. Okay, that means this week, a guy like me spends $58.55 at Starbucks. Oh boy, I'm getting in your business today, people. Now, if I spend $58.55 at Starbucks this week, and I do that every week for this year, let's see what that is, 52 weeks in a year. Okay, Hold on to your panties, people. That means I spend $3,044 a year at Starbucks getting a cup of coffee and some egg bites. Now, here's a little stat. Let me tell you a little side stat. $3,044. How freaking ridiculous is that? Marlon, you better start putting coffee in a thermos and bringing it to our meetings. That's ridiculous. $3,044 on Starbucks. Cut it out. What the hell is wrong with us, people? Now, let me tell you a secret. I read about Starbucks the other day. And I'm not bashing Starbucks. Go ahead and go to Starbucks. But start thinking about what you're doing. Stop flying blind. I'm just trying to shed a little light on the BS. We're shedding some light on the BS today. That's what we're doing. Okay, we talked about school and education. UCLA called. They want their scholarship back, but I'm not giving it back. And now I'm talking about Starbucks. Now, I ain't trying to make no enemies at Starbucks either, but I'm here to tell you some truth. I read that the moment Starbucks sells its 100th cup of coffee, the store becomes profitable. So listen to me. Listen to me. Are you listening to me? Marlon and I were in Starbucks for an hour, and we watched 100 people come and go. Matter of fact, we're going to count it next time. We're going to literally count the people. But we watched more than 100 people come and go. This was before 9 a.m. We watched for an hour, and 100 people came through that place. Every Starbucks store becomes profitable with the 100th cup of coffee. That's just standard. That's not the Daron Campbell $11 purchase. That's the standard cup of coffee. Once they sell 100 of them, the store is in profit mode. Now, that store we were at stays open until about 10 o'clock at night. It opens at 5 in the morning. It opens at 5. It closes at 10. And statistically, they become profitable after the first hour. Okay, are you listening to me? Starbucks is profitable they open at 5. By 6 o'clock, they're profitable. The store stays open another 15 hours. Is that right? 15 more hours of profit. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about who's behind the curtain. Is Mr. Schultz and the Starbucks board of directors laughing all the way to the bank? Are you consuming $11 worth of coffee every day? I contributed $11 to Mr. Schultz's billions this morning. $11. Which side of the drive-through are you on? Think about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get wise. We got to get financially intelligent. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, but I'm the leader of the financial revolution. It's time. It's time. I'm the new leader. I'm the people's champion. I just decided. Who used to be the people's champion? Who was that? I can't remember what boxer who called himself the people's champion. I don't know. Somebody do some homework and figure that one out. Nick probably knows. But listen, I'm the new people's champion. I stole the title. Sorry, I'm the people's champion. It's time we became financially aware, financially secure, financially adept, financially wise. Let's get out of the financial basement. It's time. It's time. And yes, I am yelling at you today because it's time. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Come on, people. Let's get mad. If we get mad, some stuff's going to happen. Nothing happens till you get mad. You notice that? Nothing happens till somebody gets mad. So I declare that I am officially pissed off. Hey, I heard a joke. I shouldn't even tell crazy jokes. No, I'm not going to tell. That's Speedy's department. Somebody said, what happened to the fly that landed on the toilet seat? He got pissed off. That's the only joke I know. Okay, let's keep it moving. All right, so let's go. Somebody called in with some questions. Let's take a few questions before I go into the terrible joke telling that I do. All right, what is a good age to start teaching kids about financial responsibility? How old are they when they come out of the womb? That's the day you ought to start. But that's a great question. Let me just answer it seriously. What's a good age to start teaching kids about financial responsibility? Here's what I say. If that kid can comprehend what $1 is, then that's the age. I'd say it's probably like 4 years old. You know what you ought to do? You know what you ought to do? Here's a little thing we tried it with my kids when they were little. You shouldn't just hand kids money, and you shouldn't just buy them stuff. the minute they can comprehend that it takes money to buy things, you ought to start teaching them financial responsibility. So when your kid comes to you and says, can I have, mommy, can I have, daddy, can you buy me? Stop them right there. And your standard answer should be, hell no, I can't. What you need to do then is start to incorporate a little bit of responsibility in with the stuff thing that the kids live in. Kids always want stuff, right? Well, here's a little thing that we tried with my kids, and it actually worked because they're pretty financially savvy these days. Each kid had a set of chores. And look, if your kid's only 4 years old, that chore might be putting their toys away when they're done playing with them. That could be a chore. That, any kid that sits around watching you feed them, clear the table, clean the kitchen, and while they're watching TV, you're making a mistake. You're not training those kids. You should make them do their chores, help out around the house, and then reward them for completing their chores. So that way they can earn like an allowance, right? Okay, this is simple stuff. My kids used to have to do their chores, starting at probably 5 years old. They had to do their chores and they earned a certain allowance. And our rule was, hey, anything you want, you can have, but you have to pay for half of it. Now think about that. So my kids, when they were 7, 8, 10, 12 years old, they wanted that new video game or they wanted that new pair of sneakers or what have you, they'd have to save their allowance until they had half. And then I would match them with the other half. You would be shocked at how financially responsible your kid is and how that stops them from being frivolous and thinking that money grows on trees. You got to teach them some financial responsibility because the world is cruel. The world will crush them. The world doesn't care. You have to care. You have to care. So the answer to the question, as soon as your kid can understand that a dollar is a dollar and that you trade that dollar for goods and services, that's the day you ought to start training them financially. So I say, make your kids do their chores, make them earn their money, and then make them pay for half. Or make them contribute. Maybe something's too expensive for them to pay for half, but make them contribute. And then make them understand that once they've spent all their money on candy or gum or toys, they've just run out of money. And they can't have any more until they've earned it. If they don't put those toys away, they don't get their allowance. If they don't help you clear the table, they don't get their allowance. If they don't take the trash out, they don't get their allowance. And if they don't get their allowance, they don't get any money. If they don't get any money, they can't come up with half. And if they can't come up with half, they can't have it. Wow. What a simple but brilliant system. Why don't you try that? Next time somebody comes up to you and asks you for money, say, hell no. And then show them how they can earn it. Ooh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Man. Somebody asked a great question. And, I might have to create an answer for this one day soon. But somebody said, what are some fun ways that you can teach kids about assets and liabilities? Well, I told you guys this before. A really fun way in my neighborhood growing up in Chicago, a fun way we learned about assets and liabilities kind of without learning. We learned it without being told that that's what we were learning. But we played Monopoly. And Monopoly is an old school game, but it teaches you about paying rent. It teaches you about ownership. It teaches you about how the world costs money and how you don't have an endless supply of money. It tells you about if you don't own something. Let's examine Monopoly for a second. If you don't own any property, you have no chance of getting any money until you pass go. Go is like a job. Think about it. Go is like a job. You don't get any money until you pass go. That's like you on Friday. Think about it. You get your check on Friday, and go is like Friday. You don't get one and if you run out of money before go, you don't get any more money if you don't own something. Now, the beauty of the Monopoly game is if you're tired of just making money when you pass go, that's like Friday, payday, then you could buy yourself some real estate. And then when other people show up at your property, they have to pay you. So suddenly you're getting money outside of go. Now, listen. Nobody said you had to quit go. You could keep go. But you could also still earn money. Another stream of income could be your rental property. Whoa. And guess who wins the Monopoly game? The one who has the most money, the one who basically controls the board, the one who had the most assets. Assets, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? Here's a great study. You could play Monopoly and keep going around the board and never buy a piece of property. Guess what you end up being? The first one out the game. You are the first one out of the game. Why? Because the rent started getting so high that your go money could no longer pay for it. Think about it. You played Monopoly, didn't you? You know what I'm talking about, don't you? If you didn't buy any property, fine, you were okay in the early stages. But guess what happened? Inflation. People started building stuff. Rent started getting higher and higher. Suddenly, when you landed on New York Avenue, the rent wasn't $16 anymore. There was 2 houses on that property. Now the rent was $200. Guess what $200 was? Your whole paycheck. Isn't that like the real world? You went the last 10 years without buying any real estate. Did your rent stay the same? Probably not. Matter of fact, right here in Southern California, rents doubled over the last 10 years. Doubled. Did your income double? Did you buy anything that had somebody else paying you? Or did you just stand back and just keep pass and go? You just made the same money that you always made while rents went up right in your face. Rents, the cost of living, inflation all went up. What'd you do? Did you sit still? Did you just pass go? You on the same job you were on? Did they give you a little bitty raise? They give you a little extra day or two of vacation? But the rent doubled. Think about that. Monopoly is real, ladies and gentlemen. Monopoly is not just a game. It's real. And if we think about it, there's a way that you can play this game a little smarter. Think of life. Think of your life like a Monopoly game. If you do nothing, time goes on and life gets more expensive. So if you do nothing, life outruns your money. If you keep doing for the next 10 years what you're doing today, the society, culture, the cost of living is going to outrun your money. If you don't do something different, you not only, people always say, you know, if you keep doing the same thing you've always done, you keep getting what you've always gotten. It's really not true. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get less over time. You're not going to keep getting what you always got. I predict this. If you stay exactly in the situation you're in and you don't do anything to improve, the place you live, in 10 years, you won't be able to afford it anymore. Whoa. How deep is that? That means the economy is outrunning your money. If you're not going to turn it around and do something different, you can get stuck in the same rut you've been in, and guess what? Time outruns your money. If your money doesn't grow, time, inflation, and the economy will take all that you have. So let's talk about a good way to get started. Why don't we talk about today's book? We mentioned it earlier, and I want you to dive in. Everybody should read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Everybody should read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It is easily one of the best books ever written. Why? Because it took some serious fundamental basics and told you how he had his real dad was an educator, a teacher, and that was his poor dad, because that guy never taught him about assets or owning anything, and his goal was just to work on his job for 50 years and retire and be comfortable. And then he had his buddy's dad, he became his rich dad, because that's the guy who educated him about financial freedom. Oh man, and it's told in the form of a story, so you gotta read it. It's very entertaining, it's very enlightening. It'll open your eyes to some stuff. It's kind of like what Daron Campbell is trying to tell you, but in a very enlightening, entertaining, non-preachy, and he ain't yelling at you kind of way. So everybody, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and you will learn. You'll get a financial education, and you'll be glad you did. Trust me on that. So that's today's book. That's today's book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I think I told you last week about a book that I think everybody should read, and I'll recap it for you. But it's called The Sugar Blues. Now, I'm not trying to give you 2 books to read. I talked about The Sugar Blues a week or 2 ago. But ladies and gentlemen, let me just give you a quick one. I have an aunt who had a stroke yesterday, and you know, I love her to death, and I'm scared for her right now. But let me tell you this: she drank Pepsi Cola instead of water for years. All I can remember her ever drinking was soda. That's all I can. I mean, it's like growing up as a kid, she probably drank 4 or 5 Pepsis a day. And she had a diabetic stroke yesterday. I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't cut that sugar down in your life, you're gonna live to regret it. Or maybe you won't live to regret it. Think about it. Come on, let's get better. Let's get better. Let's just not load up on the fried foods. Let's just not load up on the sugar-filled stuff. Come on. Put something in your body that's going to help your body, not kill it. You know, cancer can't survive in an alkaline body. An acidic body is where cancer thrives. Think about that. Come on. Cut down on the sugar. I mean, we got high blood pressure, we got diabetes, and it's an epidemic. And you know what? People don't mind. You know what? The medical industry doesn't mind. You know why? Because they're enjoying taking your money. They're enjoying charging your insurance company millions upon millions of dollars to keep you alive. And you want to keep making them wealthier because you're dependent on sugar and your fried foods, and then you got to take 10 pills in order to keep yourself afloat. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Follow the money. It's time we wake up. I mean, come on. Are you consuming terrible food and getting no exercise? That's like a double whammy. You know how many people just eat crap and then top that off with no exercise, no movement, no physical activity? That's like putting a double-barrel shotgun up against your head. You are killing yourself faster than necessary. Eating junk, frying everything you eat. Come on. Fried food, sugar-filled food, and no exercise. Do you want to talk about a death sentence? That's it. Everything you do has a consequence. Everything you put in your mouth has a consequence. Everything in life has a consequence. You might not realize that consequence today, but it's coming. Trust me. Everything you do has an effect. And the fact is, a lot of us don't worry about it because we don't see the effect immediately. But why don't you ask my aunt who just had the stroke yesterday if drinking 5 or 6 Pepsi Colas a day was smart. A diabetic stroke, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, let's wake up. This is Daron C. Campbell. This is the Road to $1 Million show. I'm your real estate mentor, but I am the newly self-proclaimed leader of the financial revolution. It's time we woke up. It's time we got better. It's time we got smarter. It's time we got richer. Come on, don't you agree? Can we make some changes? Let's make the financial revolution a fun thing, but let's get better. Let's get smarter. Let's work on our money. Let's work on getting some. Start with this. Let's start getting rid of the bad debt. Let's start that now. You could do something about that today. You could decide I am no longer going to charge anything on this 18% credit card. Why don't you start with that? That's a good baby step. Why don't you look at what the interest rate is on all your credit cards, take the one that's charging you the most interest, and decide within the next 6 months, I am going to get rid of this credit card. And the first step you can take is stop charging on it. If somebody's charging you more than 10% interest, you're paying for more than the benefit of having that card. You're losing money on that deal. That's a bad deal. If you're paying more than 10% for anything, you're making somebody else rich and you're making yourself poor. So why don't we start with step 1? Get rid of the bad debt by taking your highest charging credit card and declare it dead. Stop using it. And let's gradually knock it down. Let's gradually pay it off. Because that interest is killing you. It's killing you. You don't even know it. It's killing you financially, and you don't even know it. So we're going to start by getting rid of bad debt. Then we're going to start by building. Then we're going to follow up by building your credit. And then we're going to help you get into an ownership position. That's the journey. If you're willing to go with me on this journey, I'm willing to take you there. I'm willing to lead you there. I am the leader, the self-proclaimed leader of the financial revolution. And if you join me, you might get better. If you join me, you might find a little bit of growth. If you join me, you might get to the promised land, which is called financial freedom. It might take a few years. Will you invest? Will you invest a few years to get free? All right, so let's start by doing this little financial checkup. Look at your credit cards, pull out all the statements, look at how much interest you're paying, take the one that's the highest charge, the one that's charging you the most, particularly if any of them are more than 10%, and let's start to eliminate them. Stop using that highest interest rate card. Let's get you debt free, and we're going to put you in a position to win. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a beautiful thing. You'll feel good just for doing this. Trust me. Trust me. Let's start like that. Baby step number 1. And then as we go, as the shows go on, I'm going to help you with the steps. So next week, I'm going to bring a credit person on the show. And then I'll bring a banker person on the show. And then we're going to start growing. How about that? So everybody, homework assignment. Get all your credit card statements out. Find the one that's costing you the most in interest and stop using it. And then gradually we're going to knock it down. Let's pay it off. Make it a goal to pay it off. You set the timetable. Within the next 6 months, 3 months, 1 year, get rid of that card because somebody else is becoming rich off of you. Come on, isn't it time you participated in the game? Isn't it time you won the Monopoly game? Stop feeding someone else's fortune. Stop paying someone else's rent. Stop consuming someone else's goods and get on the other side of the equation. I'm here to help you. I'm Daron C. Campbell. I'm the hardest working man in real estate. I'm your real estate mentor. But now I am the self-proclaimed leader of the financial revolution. This is the Road to a Million show. Once again, I'm Daron C. Campbell. I love you guys. I'm going to see all of you at the top. Make it a great day, everybody. Peace.